Welcome to New Jersey HorrorCon's Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead reunion panel.
Rock and roll!
Make some noise. All right, the legendary Keith Coogan is with us. The iconic Danielle Harris is going to be with us very shortly. So, kicking things off, I'm just going to ask a question or two. I know you guys are fans, so as soon as I see hands going up out there, I'll start calling them out. One thing I've always been curious about with this movie is I felt like, you know, you and Danielle as well were both in such iconic 80s properties, but this is the first 90s comedy. It's maybe the first, like, iconic 90s movie. And I was curious if you guys felt like you were on to something new at the time and, like, you know, almost like the culture had turned a corner. Because this movie seems so different from the movies you guys had made before and the movies that Stephen Herek had made before as well.
Interesting. Thank you. And the thing I don't know if we recorded. We shot it in the summer of '90, I think, and it came out in '91. And it was so okay. I have economic theories as to why in the '80s we had a lot of kids alone, no parents. And the economy had changed to where both parents were now working. We had equal rights. Women are in the workplace. So all of a sudden, we created a generation of latchkey kids that would come home after school and be alone, no parents around. They did, come back home when the street lights go on. And so you had Goonies. You had Space Camp. They even shot kids in space. There was so little parental supervision. It pinnacled in Grand Canyon, which is a Peter Billingsley film, where I think he gets eaten by a pack of wolves. They just terrorized. Cujo was in it. Danny Pintaro and that damn Pinto getting terrorized by Cujo. So I think they had felt in the late 80s, they had finally felt, you know what, this trope is played out. We can't have, as a matter of fact, in True Lies, when James Cameron dangled Elijah Dushku off the plane, that was a callback to, do you remember when we used to do this in movies and take 14-year-olds and endanger them? And it moved into women being taken hostage, and then kind of people got sick of that in the 90s. And in the 2000s, we now found female protagonists in Kill Bill, and like things had changed. So the one thing I do know about this fashion is the one that did set it in the 90s a bit. And to be able to take and project, you never know when where it's gonna go. So the silliness that they went with the GAW, with the school uniform place, and to try to make it funky and cool, that it was just so absurd, and it felt like it does fall into the Clueless and the early 90s movies. And there was an article that had said,
I think there would not be a Clueless, even though Amy
No.
Clueless could not be what it was without Don't Tell Mom.
And it was, another great example of a movie with a female protagonist, which, it doesn't happen a lot. And even as progressive everybody thinks they are now, you still see a poster for a film, it'll be 4 guys and 1. Why is it not equal in terms of, being the lead? And so both with Adventures of Babysitting and Don't Tell Mom the Babysitters, to have Elizabeth Shue and Christina Applegate carrying the charge on those. I just a thumbs up to both HBO, Warner Brothers for Don't Tell Mom, and to Disney and Touchstone for doing that, and knowing that there's going to be an audience there for girls and kids. It's not just a chick. The guys love Don't Tell Mom. I think the stoner Kenny kind of guy really helped kind of pull a little bit of an audience that might not have seen that. And it was really, when we were making it, it was more about her work and the secret of my success and the working girl part of the script. And as we're shooting it, Danielle is amazing, and Gorman and Pettit. And they go, we really like the family stuff. We're going to start to really expand. Mid-movie, they go, we'll write some more scenes for the family. It seems to work well, balancing a little bit more instead of just doing it the work thing. And here she comes.
All right, here she comes. Put your hands together.
Ladies and gentlemen, Danielle Harris.
Thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate it. We were actually just touching on a couple good things. I'll give you a chance to jump in on it. We were you were talking about the cast, and I was about to say, I always felt like this movie is cast like absolute perfection, beginning to end, like every little role. Like Gus is amazing, like Metallica breath. David Duchovny plays Metallica breath in this movie. Rose, everyone is phenomenal. Like Lizard is incredible.
Franklin,
on. Like
there were so many great. Joanna Cassidy was just amazing to have on set. Yeah, she's such a spirit of it. And that laugh, you'd know Joanna's on set because you'd hear the snort and the laugh, and Joanna's on set.
I think we say I'm right on top of that rose at work as like a daily thing that is just like become, that's part of the zeitgeist now. That's just what people, it's part of our language now. So I was always curious, what was the vibe like with everyone on set? Was anybody just like vastly different than what you see on screen, or was it just?
I think everybody was kind of true to who they were-ish.
Yeah, everyone knew their roles.
Yeah.
Crack crew, everything was always on. We never went off schedule. We never had to really revert to cover sets and stuff like that. And it was pretty technical in the comedy. We'd get there, all right, what's the beat? You're going to do a 23B, then I'm going to do a double take, then you're going to do a 17A. We were all on the same page of the language to kind of do this comedy. And the whole thing about it is really play it straight, I think. Everybody was playing it straight. So good to see you, Danielle.
I was always curious what the vibe was like going into opening weekend on this film, if you guys have any memories of that, like the premiere or being...
I don't remember the premiere.
We didn't do a premiere.
We didn't, right?
I don't even remember. Oh, I remember the cast and crew screening. It was the DGA, and they had cups, yellow plastic clown dog cups with the clown dog logo. Hellhound stole 20. He was going through the party with a stack of them. So all of my stoner friends in the movie had just stacks and stacks. I still have a couple of those little yellow mugs.
This movie was actually called The Real World.
It was. It
was
called
called
The Real
Don't
World.
Tell Mom.
Right.
And it was co-produced by MTV, Warner Brothers, Outlaw Productions that it did Sex, Lies, and Videotape. And mid-movie, MTV comes over to us, and they said, we're doing a reality show. It's a new idea. It's called The Real World. And we're going to change your movie. So they'd shown a little bit of the movie to 13-year-old boys. And they said, we polled these kids, and the new title of your movie is... I was standing right by craft service, right outside the kitchen.
Yeah.
And they go, don't tell Mom the babysitter's dead. And I shit my pants. I go, oh, my God, it's such a long title.
Yeah.
There's like plurals and concatenations and apostrophes. And I'm like, nobody's ever going to spell it the right way or the similar way. And then Neil, one of the writers, said that he'd seen it as a joke on The Tonight Show. They're like, don't tell Mom the budget sucks, some political joke. And he goes, all right. And now, for me, that's the only title that the movie could be.
Yeah, it's true.
Totally. Absolutely agree. Definitely. I was always curious, too, if there's any deleted scenes or anything, from the earlier versions of the script that you guys remember other than the title not making it in.
Little, just tail ends of scenes or stuff. There was only maybe one scene at the car when we were about to go shopping or something. There was some scene I remember getting cut. And no, I think...
Mostly it was in there, right?
Yeah, most was in there. There would be a couple of extra beats on helping with Melissa with her fastball. Or I remember we kind of reinforced those. So it just little smidges, but... and when they cut it together, they're like, this is redundant, we don't need this. So there's nothing I really felt that was missing.
I was always curious because I was doing a little bit of research, and I saw that an earlier version of the script it said somewhere in an earlier draft there was like more of a murder mystery vibe to it, where you almost, like, all the kids had a different motive as to why they would kill Mrs. Sturak. And she put you in the dress, time for little girls to dress like little girls. She ruined the date, you know what I mean? She, put out, Swell's cigarette, and, of course, your room just killed her. But so I guess you guys never read any versions like that with, a little bit more of like a murder mystery or...
And really nothing different than what we shot.
Yeah, I think we got that draft that we had. They'd already kind of worked that stuff out.
Okay. Wow. Anybody out there yet? Oh, got one. Cool.
So, I saw the movie for like the first time all the way through last month. But the funny thing, my friend Nicole, it's her favorite movie. So to talk about it for someone who saw it back then and with her, it was an interesting experience. But I could only apply my sensibility now, which was like, this mom is trash. Like, she is the worst. And I guess it's speculated now, like knowing the, working on the movie and all the characters and stuff. I guess to have fun with it, who do you think would have the best relationship with the mom going forward? Because she shorted them all.
Wow.
See, I think we won. I mean, I think that's what was so great about this movie in the 90s, watching it at like, you know, at 13, like you just dreamed about being alone for the summer.
Yeah.
You know, like that was the best. And then getting to play dress up and pretend to be an adult, not realizing when you're a kid how much it sucks to be an adult. You know, you're like fantasizing. And so I think that's why the movie worked so well. It was, I mean, it's like I grew up watching, like when I was younger, like Troop Beverly Hills. Like,
Yes.
like you're like, would die to be those girls. And I think that's kind of what Don't Tell Mom was for a lot of us. It kind of filled that like fantasy of, oh wow, that would be so cool. So, I mean, shit, I wish, I mean, has anyone's parents ever like left them for the summer with a babysitter? No.
Well.
Now you'd be, like Child Protective Services would be called, but not back then, you know? So...
The writers had said one of their original ideas, they'd seen movies where the parents were gone and the kids fuck it up. And they go, what if we did a movie where the parents are gone, but the kids actually get their shit together and learn by the end of the whatever. And so that was one of their original ideas. And their other one was they kept changing through different studios and asking for rewrites and scripts and notes. And they said, you know what, whatever you guys want to do, we just want to hold on to one bit. We want to establish the babysitter, kill her off in the first act, and not mention her. And work on B stories and totally fool the audience. So at the very end, when Conchetta Tomei comes out and goes, swell, where's the babysitter? We want the audience to go, oh shit, that's right, we totally forgot about the babysitter.
And she was old, too.
Oh,
I
Ida
mean,
Rice Marin was.
Yeah.
They did use a stunt double for her when we're wheeling her dead body. I loved all of your hack his head off, hack their arms and legs off. You're so gruesome. And burning the bugs with the magnifying glass.
Oh,
they really
God.
wanted to establish your tomboy.
Yep.
And that was so great. Oh, my God. You kicked the, oh, that's right. Did you kick the sign, the chore?
I did.
Sign going
I
out of the
did,
room?
yes.
That was so great.
I was such a tomboy, and I just wanted to be Christina so bad. Like, I wanted to dress like her and look like her and win Chris Pettit's affection. And, like, I just wanted to be Christina. And I was just had, like, no teeth and bad perm. And, like, they dressed me like shit. I was just couldn't get a break.
And I was just so happy to not be in school. I mean, I was 20, so I didn't have to
Yeah.
do school on the set. And I am so upset that I didn't, because Christina went and spent time with these guys
Yeah.
over in school.
We had like Nintendo in our room, and it was the only movie that I'd done as a kid actor where they wanted us to be kids when we were on set. Like, we had bikes on set and pogo sticks, and we would swim sometimes on our lunch break. And I think that's really like the director wanting us to sort of stay in the mind frame of like, you guys are still kids even though you're working. That's the way that I felt anyway.
That's awesome. Another one I wanted to ask, unless anybody has one. You guys were talking about Christina Applegate, and doing a little bit of research for the panel, I discovered that apparently one of the early prospects for the role of Swell was Winona Ryder, and didn't work out. And then at one point, Justine Bateman from Family Ties was attached. And I was wondering if you guys remembered, if you were attached at that point, if you remember any of the casting shakeups or.
No, those typically will happen in turnaround when they get a different director or move to another financier and they go have names that they want in. And it was somebody who got through to Ed, who got the script to Christina. That's what I remember.
You know,
If it-
I was not originally cast. Did you know that?
I know.
Did you know who was cast in my role before I was? Jennifer Love Hewitt.
Wow.
But
Yes,
thanks.
definitely.
But she was under contract with Kids Incorporated, and she could not. I know I'm like kicking it old school right now.
Yeah, that's right.
And she couldn't get out of her contract. And it was the day that I moved to LA for pilot season, and it was the day that I signed with my new agent. And my new agent said, "There's this movie that I think you might be right for. They're replacing one of the cast. Could you go in? Like literally now." And I went that afternoon, and by that night, they were like, "Okay, you got the part."
Who
Wow, I
does
finally
that
have a-
happen to? Who hits LA? Oh, great, you got an apartment agent. It's like George in that Seinfeld episode where you put everything he's done over the years into one night, and then you book Don't Tell Mom.
I know. Who knew? I had no idea.
It's amazing.
Here
We
are.
we finally have a reason to appreciate Kids Incorporated too, because I don't think anyone in this room would have otherwise. all right.
That's funny.
All right, I should back that up a little bit, maybe. Getting a little heat back on that. All right, we love it because it's bad and cheesy and awesome for Kids
Yes.
Incorporated. That stuff's fun. All right, we'll talk later. Okay. I'm gonna. Yeah, she's gonna chase me down the parking lot. Guys, anyone else for questions out there, guys?
Oh, we cut the scene discovering the pool. Okay, there was a scene where, and I'm like, we have a pool? Dude. And we like pulled back all these vines and ivy, and there was a pool in the backyard that they'd filled up for the, they shot the movie in pretty much order. So the house was okay, and then as the parents left, we wrecked this place. And do you remember, Danielle, what the kitchen smelled like?
Yeah.
That was all real food rotting in this kitchen for weeks.
Oh.
And we're out in Valencia, but near Magic Mountain, so it's north of LA, like 40 minutes, 100 and whatever, in the middle of the summer. And I felt bad for Christina because all of her bedroom stuff, all the stuff where she's changing and doing, it's 130 degrees up there. All of the upstairs stuff was so hot in that house. They couldn't run the AC because of the sound. So, and it was definitely hot. And I'm in the wig, and me and Joanna had wigs. So it was the only time where I'm with a female co-stars, Christina, that I was in hair and makeup before her. So me and Joanna would show up early and get our wigs on, and I just remember hanging out with Joanna in the mornings.
Yeah.
It was really awesome.
That's right. We had a pool in the back that they filled with all kinds of green sludge and moss and disgustingness. And in the movie, I jump in the pool.
That's right. They had a diver underwater
Yeah.
with a breather thing
Yeah.
for you, and
Like
you
I
came
would've
up
never
and you're like,
found him.
"It's great."
So I jump in the pool.
right.
That's right.
Like the James Cameron scene. It's intense. So, what was it like working with Stephen Herrick so early on in all your careers?
Wow. I mean, I was already blown away that he'd done Bill and Ted's.
Obviously.
And that was a shortcut on language because he could be like, I stole Kenny is 3 things, but only 2 that I had seen. Later, I saw another, and I realized there was influence. I didn't even know it. So Bill and Ted, I took for Kenny. Spicoli. There was a lot of Spicoli in there. And then after Don't Tell Mom came out, I saw River's Edge. And I didn't realize I was doing a Keanu as well from River. But the stoner there was a pretty template kind of it's very, it was a stretch for me. I'd always played nerds and geeks and stuff like that. I really wanted that movie. You know that I was up for Brian, the Josh Charles part. And I had been in a babysitter movie where I'm in love with the babysitter. And I go, no, what's this 15-year-old stoner guy? And Harry Gold, my agent at the time, he goes, "You're too old for it." I was 19 going on 20. And I said, all right, fine. So I went in to Sharon, and I read for the clown dog part. And then I said, can I come back in a few minutes and show everybody something? They had producers and everyone there. And went into the car and changed into ripped jeans. And I had like a cheap $15 wig from Burbank Hair and Makeup. And came back, and I black out whenever I go into character for auditions. I get really nervous, and so I kicked the door open, was like, who's in charge? And was just Kenny. Read it for them, and then casting director goes, all right, Keith, take off your wig. And I do, and they're like, it was really different. And I've had casting directors since then literally go, oh, you were in both? You were in Adventures Babysitting and Don't Tell Mom? And I love how different that was. It was a big risk, so I really love that Steven cast me in that, because when I went on for it, all of my friends, Hellhound and Lizard and those guys, were in the office reading for Kenny. And there's all these real guys with the Heschers and the long hair and everything like that. And for them to pop down, so it was a wig in the movie. It was 2 $3,000 a piece, hand-laced human hair wigs. I had to go for the life cast and all this stuff. And I'm at the wig place in Burbank. It's Wigs by Ziggy, and it was one of his last movies. He was about to retire. And I'm getting the hair piece done, and I look up on the wall, and I see a picture of my grandfather. And I go, why is there a picture of Jackie Coogan? He goes, his PR people said he needed a hair piece in the 50s and 60s. So the same guy that used to make toupees for my grandfather made Kenny's hair piece, which was really, really weird.
That's so cool.
But Steven would say troglodyte, and I didn't know what that meant. And he really wanted me caveman-like and primal. In Commedia dell'arte, there's always a character that's base, that's like, it's always about food or sex, or it's always just simple. And that was kind of that character, very immediate and and selfish. That was the funnest thing, was to play a shit that did not care about anybody else. That was really, really fun. I could be totally selfish on the set. How was I as a big brother? Was I just...
You were great.
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, I think we just had fun.
We did.
It didn't feel like work to me.
No,
We
and
just
Steven
hung out.
Steven was totally, when we were doing the car shots, and we're going up and down the Balboa Reservoir and
Yeah,
everything,
yeah.
we're doing all those car scenes.
Yeah.
And he was, I don't want to say he didn't give much direction, because he was always guiding and getting it just the right. I did not understand the kitchen scene. I didn't get it. and he taught me a way to get at it. I watched it and I went, oh, now I get this scene. It's really funny. But being in the car and he'd be directing from the shot maker and be walking in and stuff, he'd let us alone and he'd just give us about 3 takes. Go do what you want to do, like almost every time.
Yeah.
And it had a little bit of technical in the camera. There was a lot of good dolly push-ins and some good moves, but it didn't feel, it felt like we did fewer setups than even other movies.
Yeah.
He shot only what he really needed. Stephen was amazing, yeah. And his little baby had been born and got in your baseball scene. So if you, they zoom in on the plate as she's hitting the ball, and they zoom in, and behind in the stands is Stephen Herrick and his little baby girl.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. Do you have any memories of working with Steve?
I had no idea who he was going into it.
Really? Wow.
I mean, there wasn't like internet then that I could
Right, yeah.
Google
Like,
who
even
Stephen
if you saw
Herrick
Bill and Ted, you might
is.
not have known, yeah.
No, I don't even think I had seen it.
Oh, wow.
So for me, it was just, I think, someone that listen, I had only done the 2 Halloween movies. I think this was my 3rd movie. So coming off of that kind of work schedule where you're working nights and you're in horrible conditions and you have a lot of work to, like, you can just go have fun. And we only need to do 3 takes, and we get to hang out, and, you know, it was completely different for me. It was like a vacation. So that's probably why it's still one of my favorite. But I think to this day, Don't Tell Mom is the only movie that when it comes on TV, I still leave it and watch the whole thing.
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, definitely one of those
Absolutely.
movies that
Yeah.
I've had the DVD forever, but I almost never have to watch it because it's always on TV,
Always on,
and it's
and
always
I
like,
will
well,
watch
this is
it.
better than everything else that's on, even though I saw it like a week ago. I'm totally going to enjoy myself and watch this again.
Absolutely.
Wow.
I love to hear that. I didn't know that. I do too, so I love that I just
Love
learned
it.
from Danielle.
Oh, man.
that
I'll
she'll
turn
do the
everything
same
else
thing.
I've done off, but I leave that one on.
Well, this is one of those movies that made, you know, the 90s worth living through, so, and it's even makes it worth remembering the 90s, so that's a rare badge of honor to me. I was curious, was the next movie you did The Last Boy Scout?
It was, yeah.
Wow, so like your
Yeah.
first 4 movies are all like iconic to me, you know, they're just amazing parts of my childhood. That's incredible. Any questions out there, guys? Got one up here?
With the ending and the mother coming out, I always felt, I still do anytime I see it, that it could have gone a little further, or there could have been a sequel or a spin-off or something from it, because it just leaves you like, well, what happens to them now? You know, what else can they do? What other trouble can they get into? Sure, the mother's going to leave them alone again. They came out great.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So they, you know, what happens then? And Swell going to college and everything. It just felt like there could have been a little bit more at the same time of that, like, oh, yeah, what did happen to the babysitters? You know, yeah, even when I see it on TV. But that's my comment. My question is, the Mama Celeste pizza. If it flips the other way,
Selling carnations off the freeway off-ramp.
right, where does that story go as far as, you know, you being in charge of the house and being everything? What kind
Oh God, absolutely not. They would have starved to death.
But you know, that is like the perfect
Dude,
idea.
Kenny could like sell weed to pay the rent. I don't know.
That is like the perfect idea to your own question.
Whatever
like that.
job
It could
he
be the
got, there
sequel.
would not have been a
That'd be
health
perfect.
plan. So Walter would have been screwed.
Yeah, well, I don't think there's a person in this room that wouldn't have seen that movie opening weekend, so. We're almost out of time, but I want to give you guys a chance to talk about anything you have upcoming where fans get a chance to check you out. Anything on the
Well,
horizon?
I was just in A Tale of Two Corys on Lifetime.
It was awesome,
Oh, yeah, I
yeah.
saw that.
Yeah, you were
Oh,
great in
thank
that.
you.
I loved it.
Thank you. Yes,
Yeah,
I
that
played
was
a
awesome.
child molester. Molested Corey Haim. And it was great. I had done Fox and the Hound with Corey Feldman, and we'd worked a few times over the years. And so he called me in. I read for the main molester of Corey Haim, but I didn't get that. And they gave me this nice little part. In 2.5 scenes, I have to figure out how to get in this kid's pants. And so it was really fun. People said it's really creepy, and I'm happy with that. I got good laughs, though, at the screening. But you can get that on Amazon. And there are a couple of independent films and stuff like that. Art films, I call them now, came out last year. One, I played a meth cook, and the other, a really rapey talent agent. So my career is going great, but you can't spell typecast without cast. So this is, at least I'm working. But Tale of Two Corys, it's fun, and I was shocked because we weren't able to read the rest of the scripts, non-disclosure agreements. They didn't want to get sued by everybody, and so that's a beautiful ringtone. It's really nice ringtone. Yeah, so, you know, thanks, and you can follow me online, Keith Coogan online, .com and doing lots of autograph shows and stuff like that.
Was Corey involved in Two Corys?
Corey was. He had done. They had written a story that was based on a Corey Haim unauthorized biography and any public interviews, the two Coreys, and then they came to Feldman and they say these points overlap with choreography. Can we buy off those bits out of choreography? And so Corey Feldman became an executive producer, but didn't write it. And he even let in some stuff that's like, it's not all, 100% Team Corey Feldman. They'd even shows, some character flaws in him. And I thought that was really brave of Feldman to show that he had some envy of Haim and his success. And that was really brave. And I know that Feldman really wants to make choreography as a film and go deeper, because this was for Lifetime. And he goes, we had to clean it up so much. And still, when I saw it, and since I hadn't read any of the rest of the script, I'm like, crack? Really? You guys have got to see A Tale of Two Coreys. I was shocked, and I've known these guys for years. I worked with Haim. Haim had lived with me. Whenever you do a movie with Corey Haim, you inherit him like a hamster. So he spent several months on my couch. And, yeah, so, yeah. Okay.
Wow. Let's see. What am I working on? I just did a movie that Joe Dante produced, which, I'm Gremlins is my favorite movie ever, so I was stoked to do that, called Camp Coldbrook. Myself and this actor Chad Michael Murray, who is in House of Wax, and then he was on a TV show too. I'm totally blanking on.
One Tree Hill.
One Tree Hill, yes. My sister knows. She was obsessed. And so it's good. I have a super fun character. It's a fun summer camp movie that's really kind of messed up, and I play a reality show producer, a ghost hunter show producer that, one last shot at actually staying on the air because we're about to get canceled. And of course, Chad's the star of the show, and I'm kind of the crazy producer trying to figure it all out. So we shot that in Oklahoma, which was really fun. And I think that's going to be summertime. So, and then this movie Inoperable that I did, that came out recently too, is interesting. That's available on DVD. So, and that's it. I'm just being a mom and doing autograph shows and hanging out with my friends.
Awesome, good stuff. Well, guys, we're out of time, so put your hands together for this amazing.
Thank you for coming, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you. Rock and roll. Awesome. Dishes are done, man. The panel is done, man.